The ministers also called this framework agreement as fair and beneficial for particularly India's farmers, manufacturers, innovators, as well as those in the pharma sector. We are joined by Professor Gulshan Sachadeva, School of International Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, to talk about it. What is your assessment of this interim trade agreement framework, Professor?
Well, thank you. Well, I think what Prime Minister said that, this is a good news for both the countries in a sense. We have been talking for the last couple of days now about this deal, and now slowly things are unfolding. But one thing is quite clear that this is a kind of a framework for an interim agreement which will lead to bilateral trade agreement. And even after bilateral trade agreement, I think both the countries will continue to talk about further reduction in tariffs. So broadly, I think if you look at this statement, it talks about immediate tariff relief and certain numbers and certain products. Then you also have about standards, non-tariff barriers, market access, and then there is also a separate issue of India buying Russian oil, for which there has been a separate, the order has been issued by the President's office. So what it basically tells us that, one thing is that we know that for some time, there has been certain downturn in the India's relations with the United States and various reasons, and tariffs were one of the reasons, 50% tariffs on Indian products. Now, as a result of this, many of Indian products, particularly labor-intensive products like textile and leather and some other products in the organic chemicals, so they were having difficulties. Workers were having difficulties. The entrepreneurs, they had the problems because they were not able to do that. And some other countries, they were able to work out certain deals with the United States. So now, the pattern, and another thing also we have to keep in mind that, the negotiation with the United States are something very different than other kind of negotiations we had with other countries. Last week we had, deal with the European Union, which we have been negotiating, for, almost for 2 decades. And the same happened with many other things. Here, it's something very different. Outside the WTO framework, President Trump imposed certain tariffs on India, 25 and then 25% from this. And ultimately, most of the countries, they did agreement. I mean, the UK with 10%, 15% with the EU, Japan 15%, and many others, our neighboring countries in Asia, something between 15 to 20%. So somewhere we are there. So that's useful for immediate thing. But of course, since, so the United States has kind of eased certain pressure. We have also opened some of our markets. Some of the, by and large, we have protected our agriculture products, but some of the, since, US is also pushing for certain entering to the Indian market because they know that it's a growing market. So some of the products, like nuts and wines and spirits, etc., it would be entering into the Indian market. Now, the commerce ministers have made it clear that, it will not be zero in many cases. It will be some tariff, reduced tariff, and also certain quotas. Now, all these details, I guess, are still being worked it out.
So is it your understanding that there will be first there will be an interim trade agreement? That will be another piece of document that we will get to see in black and white?
Yes. And then after that interim, again, there'll be another full trade, bilateral trade agreement. So it means there is a, certain things are being negotiated. Maybe it will take a couple of weeks and couple of months till we have the final picture, how things are. But the good thing is that ultimately India would be able to export. And then, in fact, another thing which, in fact, which I think has been raised by many people about commitment by India of 500 billion import in 5 years. Because today we have about 45, 46 billion imports. So it means we'll be kind of doubling our imports from the United States. That's what kind of intention is. These are just intentions.
Is that difficult?
In the overall picture, because what perhaps we expect that as a result of the final agreement, trade between India and the United States anyway will go up.
Yes.
quite substantially.
In
So as a
terms of
result, our imports may
energy
also
in
go
the
up.
first place.
Absolutely. And then, in fact, some of the products, like, the major, imports from aeroplanes and in the aviation sector and also in the energy sector, it will go up. So those things are actually, I think is useful for India to integrate Indian economy with the US economy. But only I think the problematic, controversial part perhaps would be at the moment, linking this with the Indian import from Russian oil.
Right.
Now, I mean, the order which says that India has kind of given a commitment, although the Indian government hasn't really made out clear at the moment, because we have said that, we are talking about Indian energy security, so that we have a given commitment that India will reduce this oil from Russia imports. And second thing is that, it will be reviewed, and if India start buying again, then, there could be a reimposed. Now, these are things I think that our government will make certain things clear in the coming days.
Okay.
But obviously, we are buying from Russia because not, because except one or two companies, other companies are not under sanctions, and we were buying even, below the price which was set up by the European Union and others. So there, we are not violating anything. This is the market players. But of course, if some other resources, other from other countries, whether from the United States or from Venezuela, if some other gas and oil is available, maybe
Right.
some other companies will
Right. We're
buy.
free to do that.
But I
Yes.
think linking these two things will be a bit of a problematic. But I think the government will make it clear in the days to come.
Yes, he certainly, as of course, the T's get crossed and the I's dotted, and we have final documents to peruse, everything will become more and more clear. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Professor Sachdeva.